So back to Bob and our file that we're trying to get to him. So as I said, in order to exchange or agree keys with Bob in a secure manner, we need to authenticate that Bob is the real Bob in order to exchange those keys. Because if a man is sat in the middle, he could send a fake public key pretending to be Bob, which is why we talked about hashes and digital signatures, because they are used within digital certificates as a method of authentication. Now this is the same when you go to a HTTPS website. They have a public key which you're using to exchange session keys in order to start your encryption, but you need to authenticate to make sure that that public key is legitimate. Now, one solution, and the solution that is used on the internet, is to use digital certificates that are digitally signed in a chain of trust. So X.509 is the standard most used for the security digital certificates. And they are simply a digital document containing information about the owner of the certificate, or, for example, the website, the business that owns the website. In this case, we've got Mozilla. The public key and a digital signature that proves the public key and certificate are validated by an authorized certificate authority. Now that all may sound a little bit complex, so let's run through this. So maybe you've clicked on the lock before, but let's click on this and click on more info. Actually, let's click here first, and you can see that it's verified by DigiCert. So DigiCert is the certificate authority. They are the person that is saying that Mozilla is who they claim to be, and that the public key on this certificate is genuine and has not been altered. So let's actually look at the certificate itself. Down the bottom here we can see the negotiated algorithms. Let's view the certificate. So this certificate is valid for this domain only. It's validating this organization, and it has been issued by DigiCert. These are fingerprints. Don't need to concern too much about these. You can think of those as really a unique number. They're a hash against a certificate. So it's really just a unique number for this particular certificate. If we dig into the details, click here. If we go down, click here, that is the public key. And we can see this is an RSA public key. So if we encrypt something with that public key using the RSA algorithm, only Mozilla's private key can decrypt it. Now if we go a little bit further down, we'll see the digital signature algorithm. So this is SHA-256 with RSA encryption. So remember that a digital signature is a hash value that has been encrypted with the issuer's private key. So this certificate has been signed by DigiCert, and if I click here, their certificate is here. And this is what brings us to our chain of trust, because the RSA public key for this certificate must be used to decode the signature on this first certificate to obtain the SHA-256 hash, which must match an actual SHA-256 hash computed over the rest of the certificate, so that you know that it is genuinely from DigiCert. And the same process happens to validate that this certificate is valid, going back to this one up the chain of trust, which is the root certificate. How do we know that this one is valid and that we can trust this one? Well, that's because your operating system and your browser contains a whole list of root certificates that have been issued by certificate authorities. So it's not that you necessarily trust them, it's that Microsoft or whomever has supplied your certificates, it's those people that trust them. Now, if you want to view certificates in Firefox, go here, Options, Advanced Certificates, View Certificates. And if you click on Authorities, you can see the certificate authorities. And these are all of the root CAs that you're using to trust. And there are hundreds of them. Let's click on one. There we go. See a Comodo digital certificate, looks much the same as the Mozilla one. The difference is that this is a self-signed certificate. But what gives them the authority to be a certificate authority? Well, there is various organizations that enable this and allow this to happen, and they have to conform to various security requirements. Let's close this. Just have a look down the list. And what was the... This was DigiCert. So we can see here, DigiCert. There. And because we have this in our certificate store, we trust the Mozilla website because of the chain of trust of the digital signatures. We can see the chain of trust here. Bank of America's certificate. The chain of trust comes down here. And then we have the root certificate here.